so much for joining me. If you haven't been here before, my name is Tracy, and this is an upcycling channel where we take thrifted, discarded items, breathe new life into them, and create fun clothes, purses, and accessories. Now, recently I thrifted this sort of dress. It's an eyelet, might be a nightgown. I'm not real sure, but it's just kind of plain, but it has so much potential. What I want to do is turn it into a top, add some fun details. Plus, this is sort of a 2-for-1 DIY video because I will do some very simple, easy to do jazzing up of this. And then I'm going to create a Jabot neck piece that is sort of tattered and layery with eyelet fabric and lace. And so you can take that and wear it with other shirts. You could wear this by itself or with the Jabot. I'm really excited because I think it's going to be really cute. This dress I'm wearing, I sort of have a video on that. I'll put the link in my description. The actual video, the dress looks like this. And since then, I have cut a high-low design in it, added a 15-inch patched ruffle just to give it more flowy movement. So let's get started with the top. Okay, so the first thing I did was try it on, and I want my top to hit just below the waistline of a pair of pants I would be wearing. I don't want it so short that it would be like a belly shirt or so long that it would cover up some decorative pants that I plan on wearing this with. So I just stuck a pin right where I want it to be. And this is an extra large and it's Gap brand. So you might be able to find that online or something if you like it. Now I'm just laying my gown out on the table. And I took a yardstick and measured from the bottom up to that pin, and I got 16.5 inches. Now what I'm going to do is just go around and cut 16.5 inches off the bottom of the dress. Sometimes I cut 2 layers at once. This one I want to be a little more precise, so I'm going all the way around the dress. Okay, I have to do an interjection with the measuring of that pin, the 16.5 inches. Now that pin marked where I wanted my final shirt to hit. And I forgot to add 6 inches to cut off to take in account my 6-inch ruffle. So that 16.5 inches, I should have added 6 inches more, which would have brought it to 22.5 inches. That's what I should have cut off all the way around to take into account this big ruffle. Now, I have to redo mine, but the next steps will show you how to sew the ruffle on. I just had the measurement messed up. So while you're watching that, I will be seam ripping this off. So now what I want to do is sew a big ruffle at the bottom. And I have these scraps. I believe were cut from a curtain. And they're 6-inch already pleated eyelet ruffles, which is so nice. Now I have 2 pieces and I'm going to have to sew them together so I have one big long one. I'll just put right sides together and with a small straight stitch, do a 1/4 inch seam allowance and just sew them together like that, and then I'll press it open. Okay, now this is a little bit tattered and raw at the top. And when I wash it, it will fray, and that will be cute. I like that look. Now, this is already pleated for me, so all I have to do is sew that band. And I'm going to use my largest zigzag stitch white thread. I will start at the side seam, and when I begin sewing, I will overlap it 1/2 inch on the outside. I won't start at the very beginning of the ruffle. I will start 1 inch in. That way it gives me a little flap to close this up at the end, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so now I'm almost to the point where I started, and I have a lot of ruffle left, and I need to cut that off. And so I just have to sort of eyeball this and guesstimate where I want to cut that off, and I think about right there. Now it's looking like this, and I have to sew these two pieces together. So what I need to do is back stitch and pull my shirt out of my sewing machine so I can sew that ruffle together. And all I do is I want these right sides together. I'll just line them up. I don't pin this sort of thing. And I'm just going to line those up and do a straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now there's where my ruffle is sewn together, and I still have a gap right here, so I need to slide this back into my machine, and I'm looking at the outside of the shirt, and that's where I ended my last stitch, so I need to start there, go forward, back. Oh, I need to put it back on zigzag. And I am just going to finish sewing that up. Okay, that's more the height I was looking for. Now I just want to add a few little cute decorations. Now I want to add a piece of needlework that I've had for a long time. On my bulletin board by my sewing machine, I pin things that don't have a home and that I love and I don't want to lose, small little things that I think are special. And one thing I've had pinned up here for a long time is this piece of needlework. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I think it's old and I think it's beautiful. Now, it's time to cut this up, and I'm going to add it to the shirt. Now, I cut out a piece that's about 7 inches this way, 6 inches this way, and I am pinning it in the uppermost right-hand corner on mine. Okay, so now that I have this pinned, I am going to go around the edges with my largest zigzag stitch using pink thread. Okay, there's what that one looks like close up. And then I took a smaller rectangle one and I put it in the front. This is about 6.5 by 3.5. And I overlapped that ruffle a little bit, about 1 inch. Have it all pinned on. Now I'm going to go sew it on just like I did this. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one alone. I'm done in the front. My jabot might cover that up a little bit anyway. So on the back, I think I want to add a couple more little things. And I have this big messy tub full of fabrics that I use for applique, cutting out like flowers, butterflies, birds, things like that. And I'm thinking I want to do a little patch with a butterfly on it and maybe a little patch with some lettering on it. So let's see what we can find in this mess. Now this was for a toilet. It came with a shower curtain that had butterflies on it, and it came as a set. I really didn't want it, but I might try to cut this little gold butterfly out and see if this is layers that come apart easily, because I kind of like that color. It's kind of old and vintagey looking. No, that's kind of on a styrofoamy thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to cut that off and see if, without destroying the patch, I don't know. Yeah. I think that'll be okay. I just need to get the rest of this foam off. Now this is a piece of a pillow cover that I've used on a couple projects. You know, to me, I can't hardly read what that says. And I'm not going to overthink what it says. I'm just going to cut it out. I basically just want some lettering. Okay, I pinned the lettering right there. I'm just making a little collage basically. And I'm putting the butterfly right here. Now, since these are so small, I'm going to use my straight stitch instead of a zigzag and just get those sewn on. Okay, now the top part is all done. How sweet is that? All right, now I'm going to work on the neck piece. Now to make the neck piece, I need a base to start with to sew things onto, and this will tie around the neckline, and it'll have a big generous bow in the back with some lace kind of trailing down the back of the blouse. And so I just chose, this is just a strip of lace from a longer, wider piece of lace sewing trim. And mine is 90 inches long and almost 1 inch wide. Now I have this cool little kind of gauzy embroidered. Now I think this was part of a apron once upon a time. And this is 18 inches across, 14.5 inches tall, and it's 5 inches up here. Now I have this little scalloped lace border, and I have a video where I talk about what kind of lace I use, where I source it, care for it, things like that. And I'll link that video down in my description, but these are basically all just lace remnants. Now, I had already cut the bottom off of this for another project, and I don't like the bottom. So I'm going to add this scalloped piece. I'm going to go to my machine. I'll probably use a zigzag stitch on all of this and a whitish colored thread. And I am just going to overlap this about 1/4 inch and sew it all along the bottom so that the bottom is a little cuter. Now I'm going to layer this, but I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. Now the first layer will be, I had sort of this table scarf type thing. It was an oval. I cut it in half. And this piece, the top, will line up. I'm going to line it up and have these leaves right here be my guide all the way over. So I'll go to my machine. I won't do any pinning here. I'll lay it at the edge and start sewing. I'm going to use a zigzag stitch, and I will do tiny little pinch pleats about every inch. I'll overlap it about 1/4 inch. Well, no, about every 2 inches. I'll overlap it about 1/4 inch. I don't have a whole lot here. I can't do a lot of pleating. And then when I run out there, I'll overlap this a little bit and continue sewing. Okay, so this is just sort of an artsy thing. I hate to give you measurements and stuff because you do whatever your pieces dictate to you, but I have these little ecru colored pieces of lace, and they're different, but similar in color, and I cut them to the same width, which is about 4.5. Now I want to sew them about right there. I want them to overlap this seam, and that is 9.5 inches up from the bottom. So I am just going to take some tailor's chalk, and I am going to mark 9.5 inches up from the bottom all the way across. That just helps give me a guideline when I'm at my machine sewing. Now I'm just going to sew these on just like I did this. Start at the edge, pinch pleat a little bit every couple of inches. I don't have to do a lot because this is already pleated and it will hang pleated, so I don't have to do a bunch of gathering. So I'll go get these sewn on. Now I have a pretty piece of lace like this, kind of has a scalloped bottom. And I am going to sew that about a good inch underneath this band, right in here. And I'm not going to mark this one because that's so close that I can eyeball that. And I will do more pleating with this one than I did the others. Maybe every inch, overlap about 1/2 inch all the way over. Then I'll just trim any extra that I have. Now I have a little piece of doily here. And I don't need to pleat this one because it's already pleated, and I'm just going to sew on this band right here. And I am going to sew it right underneath this little collar piece right along here with my zigzag stitch, and I will trim off any extra. Now I'm going back to my lace strip. I found the center and stuck a pin, and I am just going to center my little fabric piece at the top on that. I'm not going to pin this or anything. I'll just go to my machine, and I think I'll just leave a teeny bit over right there and zigzag stitch that on. Okay, here it is all done. Now you can either tie it as kind of a choker or kind of loose. Whatever you like. It's all done. I'll give you a quick look here, and then I'm going to go put it on and style it for you. So fun. Okay, here it is all done. What a pretty spring blouse, right? Now, I'm going to slow it down, let you see what the blouse looks like, and then I'm going to put the neck piece on and give you a close-up of that too. The jeans, I'm going to have a video for in about a week. Thank you so much for watching.